Gracias, gracias. Thank you so much for welcoming me here today. Muchas gracias por la oportunidad de estar aquí y platicar con ustedes hoy. I'm afraid that's all I have. I want to thank you very much, and thank you very much for this opportunity to address everyone here today. And thank you for all you do in your communities. I know that you're all here because you have a leadership role in your churches, in your communities, in your neighborhoods, and that work is so invaluable. Society is made up of so many different components, and it is so, I'm so grateful for all the time and dedication that you have bringing the Lord's message to so many people and being ambassadors for the faith and for the practical service you provide for people who need help in a material way, people who need help in a spiritual way as well. It's invaluable work, and I want to thank you for all your dedication to the people that you serve. Thank you so much. I thought I would talk a little bit about a few messages that are shaping up before the next election, and then leave some time for me to meet with as many of you as possible. So obviously there are many things at stake in this election. I believe that this is going to be the most critical election this country has faced in generations. Justin Trudeau has a much different perspective, a much different idea of what Canada should be about and what the role of government should be in people's lives. And Canadians will have a very stark choice in the next election. We hear all the time that life is getting more and more expensive, and that people are having a harder and harder time making it to the end of the month. Our campaign platform will be focused on making life more affordable for Canadians. We are going to be a government that lives within its means so that we can leave more money in your pocket and let you get ahead. That is our central economic message. It's important that a government lives within its means because every time the government borrows money, that money has to be paid back. It has to come from somewhere. So it's current taxpayers and future taxpayers that will be left with the bill. I don't know a single parent that would leave a credit card debt to their children, and I don't believe that the government should leave that kind of a debt to the next generation of Canadians either. As you heard, I have, I think it's cinco hijos. Cinco hijos, sorry. I'm going to stop trying the pronunciation. I have 5 children. My wife and I have been very blessed with that. It's taught me a lot about everything from practical things, life experiences, but also to appreciate the responsibility that we have to leave the world a better place for them. And that is in every area. Obviously, it means economically, but they have the same types of opportunities that we were blessed with this generation. It also means to leave them a cleaner, natural environment, making sure that they can have the same inheritance we have, the same access to beautiful rivers, lakes, forests, oceans. It also means that we have to leave a stable society for them as well, safe communities, so they can raise their families in the same types of peace and security that we've had ourselves. We can't take any of that for granted. That doesn't happen automatically. It takes work, it takes commitment from levels of government, from community leaders like yourself, and that is what is driving me forward. When we say that we're going to return back to balanced budgets, we are going to do that in a responsible way to make sure that we can preserve core services to people, healthcare, education, those types of transfers to the provinces will be preserved. We are going to eliminate some of the wasteful spending that the Liberal government has embarked upon, and we're going to stop the practice of having powerful corporations with rich CEOs and rich families having the Prime Minister's office on speed dial to get special favors and special bailouts. We're going to be a government that works for the people that are working hard to get ahead. And we're going to do that so that we can leave more money in your pocket. In order to help the affordability crunch that Canadians are facing, we are going to do a number of things. The first and foremost is we're going to cancel the Liberal carbon tax. That is job number 1. And we have our own environmental plan that will put an emphasis on technology, not taxes, that will invest in the types of advancements that we've seen succeed already. and leverage Canada's ability to lower global emissions. That will be far more effective than a carbon tax that is proven to fall further and further away from our Paris targets while making everything more expensive. We're also going to go further. Not only are we going to take the carbon tax off of essentials like gasoline and home heating, but we're going to recognize that these things are not luxuries. And in Canada, the GST is not charged on things that are deemed to be necessities. That's why you don't pay it on groceries and pharmaceuticals and things like that. I believe that heating your home in the winter in Canada is not a luxury, it's a necessity, so we're going to remove the GST from home heating. And we're going to recognize the sacrifice that parents make when they take time off work for those critical early months raising a child. It's very, very expensive raising children, I can assure you of that. And when moms and dads go on parental leave, maternity or parental leave, most people forego 45% of their income. They give up 45% of their income to go on mat leave or on parental leave. That's a huge sacrifice. And after making that kind of a sacrifice, I don't believe that the government should come along and take a chunk of that as well. So a conservative government will make maternity and parental benefits tax-free to help parents raise children. So those are some of the economic measures that we're going to be implementing. But I believe that there's another battle that's developing with this election. And that is how Canadians can freely express themselves. And one of the things I see from this government is the demonization of people who hold different views on different issues. And the way that people are persecuted or attacked or bullied or belittled because they have a perspective or because they have a position on certain issues. And my message to all of you today is that we have to have a government that respects every single charter right. Amen. And the charter right to freedom of religion, to freedom of belief, and to freedom of speech, those charter rights are just as important as every other charter right, and a conservative government will uphold each and every one of those values. That is why we will remove the summer jobs attestation from the summer jobs program. So that the government does not peer into your minds and peer into your souls and make a decision about whether or not you can access, or your communities or your churches or your organizations can access summer jobs funding based on your personal view of any number of issues. In other words, it shouldn't matter to the government whether or not you hold the same views as Justin Trudeau on a whole variety of issues. You have the right to have your own opinions, your own beliefs, and that should not impact your federal funding for any number of things. We're also going to restore Canada's voice on the world stage for fundamental human rights. We are going to reinstate the Office of Religious Freedoms, because we believe that Canada needs to be that ambassador for religious freedoms. And we used to. We used to have that role. It used to be a full ambassadorship, so that when we had representations around the world dealing with governments and countries that don't allow for freedom of religion, we had that type of person with that presence, with that stature, so that we could use Canada's influence around the world to give those same rights that we enjoy here to people around the world. There are so many people who are persecuted for their faith, and I don't need to tell you, many of those people persecuted are Christians in many, many different countries around the world. And that office, the ambassador, was not just limited to Christians, it was for every. One thing I know we all believe in is that every human being has that right to freedom of religion. And so we fought for every religious minority and every community to have the same rights that we have here. And a conservative government will reopen that office and appoint an ambassador. We are also going to ensure that adequate resources are put into things like palliative care. And there's been a lot of conversations, with the Supreme Court made a ruling on assisted suicide that Parliament enacted legislation on. And it was a very, very robust debate in the House of Commons. Our caucus, the Conservative Party, believes in the freedom of conscience, so that members of Parliament can always vote their conscience on these types of important issues. and we did. We had a free vote in our party. But one of the things that got lost in that conversation was the need to uphold the dignity of life and the sanctity of life by ensuring that the federal government is there in a very real way to help people facing critical illnesses in their later years. And a Conservative Party government will put resources into palliative care to support people as they reach the end of their life, that they can live out their final years with dignity, and the dignity that God gave them. So that's a commitment that I want to mention to you here as well. And I just want to touch on very briefly the Conservative vision on immigration. We are a party that is built from people from all over the world. Generations of people have come to this land from other countries because of the freedoms that we enjoy. And as a result, we are a strong and diverse and are enriched nation because of all the contributions from people of so many different walks of life, of so many different ethnicities, customs, and traditions. And a Conservative government will uphold that by ensuring that we have an immigration system that is fair, orderly, and compassionate. Ensuring that people who are facing persecution have the ability to come to Canada, but those people facing those types of crises are prioritized. So we'll restore order to our immigration system to make sure that people are treated based on the urgency of their need, not just because they can find somewhere to cross into Canada. That is something that we have to make sure the world's truly vulnerable are given that type of priority. And I do believe that every single one of us is a children of God, and that there can be no discrimination between different types of people based on their ethnicity or based on the color of their skin or the religion they practice, because we all are given the same natural rights as human beings from our Creator. And so our immigration system Our immigration system will be fair, orderly, and compassionate. I do know there are many, many issues. I know this is predominantly pastors representing South American countries. So I want to just take a few minutes to talk about how it is our party that has been raising awareness on the situation in Venezuela. I believe that Canada has a greater role to play in helping people fleeing that regime in Venezuela, that we have to be that voice for democracy and human rights there, but also make sure that that Canada can do all it can to help people who are fleeing from that persecution as well. And I just want to say that is something that our government is looking, that our party is looking at doing, enhancing the way for people who are fleeing those types of regimes to come to Canada, where they will be able to live in safety. So I want to close there because I want to give enough time to mix and mingle. But I just once again want to thank you for your service to your communities. Thank you for being here this morning. Thanks for hearing a few words from me. There's so much at stake at this election. And if you agree with me that we can't afford another 4 years of Justin Trudeau's style, his presence on the world stage, or lack thereof, we have so many things at stake. We have 2 Canadians right now incarcerated in China, being held illegally on trumped-up charges, and we have a government here that has not done anything in response. We have the government of China blocking exports, canola, beef, pork, and again, nothing in response. We have lost good relations with countries like India, and we have even angered our traditional trading partners like Japan and Australia. So we need strong leadership on the world stage that is ready to stand up for Canada and stand up for Canadians' interests around the world. So that is my message to you here today. I hope I can count on your support, but thank you once again for all you do for your communities. Thank you for your ministry to your congregations and your leadership roles in your communities. Thank you very much.